courage and purpose. The top 5% aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented, they're simply the ones willing to do what the rest won't. In this audiobook, we will uncover the mindset shifts, daily habits, and powerful strategies that will help you outsmart the 95%. You'll learn how to think differently, act decisively, and create a life that reflects your true potential. This isn't about quick fixes or shallow motivation. It's about building a foundation of real success, success that lasts. If you're ready to stop watching from the sidelines and start leading your own life, then this is your moment. The journey won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop following the crowd before it's too late. Look around you. Most people are simply following the path that was laid out for them, never stopping to question where it leads. They go to school, get a job, work hard enough not to get fired, and wait for weekends to feel alive. They chase trends, repeat what everyone else says, and live life according to the expectations of family, friends, and society. On the surface, it feels safe. It feels comfortable. But deep down, there's a quiet danger. The danger of living someone else's life, while your own dreams slowly wither away. Here's the hard truth. If you do what everyone else is doing, you'll get the same results they have. And most people's results aren't impressive. Most people are stressed, broke, and unfulfilled. Yet they keep marching in the same direction, because that's just how life is. This is how mediocrity spreads, like a quiet disease. And if you don't wake up and take control, you'll end up stuck in the same trap. You have to be willing to break away from the herd. That means questioning the rules you've been taught. It means having the courage to say, no, that's not the life I want, even if others don't understand. Yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. You might be judged. You might lose friends. But here's the thing. The people who laugh at you today are often the same ones who will ask for your advice tomorrow. Think about it. Every great leader, every innovator, every person you admire started by going against the crowd. They dared to think differently. They were willing to be misunderstood. That's the price of freedom. You don't need to be reckless or rebellious, just for the sake of it. You simply need to stop blindly following the script and start writing your own. Ask yourself right now, am I living by design, or am I just reacting to life? If your days feel repetitive, if your goals are vague, if you're constantly seeking approval, that's a sign you've been swept into the crowd. But here's the good news. You can step out at any moment. You can make a decision today to take ownership of your direction. This chapter is your wake-up call. It's a reminder that safety and comfort come at a cost, the cost of your potential. The 95% will always choose comfort. The 5% will always choose growth. Which side will you choose? Stop waiting for permission. Stop looking for a map. Start building a life that reflects who you really are, not who others expect you to be. The crowd is loud, but your inner voice is louder, if you're willing to listen. And when you finally break free, you'll realize you never wanted to fit in. You were meant to stand out all along. Chapter 2. Build a vision so clear it scares you. If you don't know where you're going, you'll spend your entire life wandering in circles. That's what most people do. They wake up, go through the motions, and hope things will somehow work out. But here's the truth. Life doesn't reward hope. It rewards clarity. Without a clear vision, you end up drifting, reacting to whatever comes your way, instead of intentionally shaping your future. And drifting is exactly what keeps people stuck in mediocrity. Think of a ship at sea. If the captain doesn't set a destination, the waves and winds decide where that ship goes. That's how most people live, tossed around by circumstances, other people's opinions, and random opportunities. Then years go by, and they wonder why they never reached the life they wanted. It's not because they lacked potential. It's because they never took the time to define what they were chasing in the first place. Here's something powerful to understand. Clarity creates power. When you have a vision so clear it feels real, it pulls you forward, even when motivation fades. It becomes a compass, guiding your decisions, your habits, and your daily actions. Without that vision, every setback feels like the end of the world. But with it, even your failures start to make sense, because you see them as stepping stones towards something bigger. The top 5% don't stumble into success. They design it. They spend time imagining, planning, and defining exactly what they want their future to look like. And here's the part most people miss. Your vision should scare you a little. It should feel so bold and so exciting that it stretches you beyond your comfort zone. If your goals feel safe, they're probably too small. Safety might keep you comfortable, but it will never make you grow. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if there were no limits? Don't just think about money or career. Imagine the person you want to become. How do you wake up in the morning? How do you spend your time? What kind of relationships surround you? What kind of impact are you making on others? Paint the picture vividly, like you're describing a movie scene. The more detail, the better. Now here's the key. Write it down. Don't just keep it in your head. When you put your vision on paper, it becomes tangible. It goes from being a dream to being a plan. And once you have that plan, you can start working backward, breaking it into steps you can take today, this week, and this month. Big visions are built through small, consistent actions. But let's be honest, building a powerful vision isn't easy. You'll face resistance, not just from others, but from yourself. That little voice inside will whisper, "Who do you think you are to aim this high?" That's fear talking. And fear only shows up when you're heading towards something meaningful. In fact, if your vision doesn't scare you a little, it's probably not bold enough. Fear is a sign you're on the right track. Understand this, when you commit to a bold vision, some people won't understand. They might laugh at you, discourage you, or try to convince you to be realistic. Don't take it personally. They're not really talking about you. They're projecting their own limitations. People who settle for less will always feel threatened by those who reach for more. Let their doubts fuel you instead of stopping you. Imagine standing 5 years from now, looking back at today. What story do you want to tell? Do you want to say, "I stayed safe and did what everyone else did"? Or do you want to say, "I took a risk, I aimed higher, and I built a life that once seemed impossible"? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. Your vision is like a lighthouse in the distance. Even when storms hit, even when you feel lost, it will guide you back on course. That's why you need to make it strong, clear, and inspiring. Without it, you'll be swayed by every distraction and setback. With it, you'll have the focus and drive to keep moving, no matter what. So take the time today to sit in silence and dream boldly. Don't filter your thoughts. Don't think about what's realistic. Just allow yourself to imagine the life you truly want. Then capture that vision on paper and commit to it fully. Because here's the truth. The 95% will spend their lives reacting to the world. The 5% will create their own. When you have a vision so clear it scares you, you stop playing small. You stop living by chance and start living by choice. And that, my friend, is the first real step toward escaping mediocrity and building lasting success. Chapter 3. Master your mind, or stay a prisoner forever. Your mind is the most powerful tool you will ever have, and also the most dangerous weapon if you don't learn how to control it. Most people think the world outside of them is what shapes their reality. They believe that circumstances, luck, or other people are what determine their success or failure. But here's the truth. The battle for your life is fought inside your own head. If you lose that battle, it doesn't matter how much talent you have, how many opportunities come your way, or how badly you say you want success. Your mind will sabotage you every single time. Right now you are either the master of your mind, or its prisoner. And sadly, most people are prisoners. They are trapped by negative self-talk, old beliefs, and fears they don't even realize they carry. They wake up every day with a voice in their head whispering, "You're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. Why even try?" And because they don't know how to challenge that voice, they believe it. They let it control their decisions, their actions, and ultimately their future. Here's what you must understand. Your thoughts create your reality. Every choice you make, every habit you build, every result you get, it all starts as a single thought. Think small, and you'll live small. Think boldly, and you'll act boldly. That's why mastering your mind isn't just a nice idea, it's the foundation of everything else. But how do you actually do it? First, you have to become aware of what's going on up there. Most people never stop to listen to the stories they're telling themselves. They run on autopilot, repeating the same patterns day after day. So take a moment to pay attention. What are you saying to yourself when you face a challenge? Do you focus on possibilities or problems? Do you see setbacks as lessons or as proof that you'll never succeed? Awareness is the first step, because you can't change what you don't notice. Once you're aware, you must challenge those limiting thoughts. Just because a thought pops into your head doesn't make it true. Your brain has been shaped by years of conditioning, by your family, your culture, your past experiences. Many of those old beliefs don't serve you anymore. If you keep holding on to them, they'll keep you stuck in mediocrity. So when that inner voice says, "I can't," replace it with, "How can I?" When it says, "I'm not ready," respond with, "I'm learning and growing every day." This isn't about blind positivity. It's about retraining your mind to focus on solutions instead of problems. Another powerful way to master your mind is through daily rituals. Your mental state isn't random, it's shaped by what you feed it. Just like your body needs healthy food, your mind needs healthy input. Read books that challenge and inspire you. Listen to messages that build you up instead of tearing you down. Spend time with people who believe in growth, not gossip. Over time, this steady diet of positive input rewires the way you think. And don't underestimate the power of silence. In our noisy world, most people never sit alone with their thoughts. They're constantly distracted by phones, TV, and endless chatter. But when you take even a few minutes each day to sit quietly, to breathe, to reflect, to simply be, you create space for clarity. You begin to see your thoughts for what they are, just thoughts, not commands, not truth, just passing ideas you can choose to accept or reject. Mastering your mind takes practice. It won't happen overnight. Some days you'll feel like you're winning the battle, and other days you'll fall back into old habits. That's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up. The more consistent you are, the stronger your mental muscles become. Remember, the 95% let their thoughts control them. They react to every fear, every doubt, every flash of insecurity. The 5% do the opposite. They choose their thoughts deliberately. They decide what to focus on, what to believe, and what to ignore. That's why they succeed while others stay stuck. So ask yourself today, are you running your mind, or is your mind running you? If you don't like the answer, make a decision right now to change it. Because here's the ultimate truth. Until you master your mind, you'll never master your life. Your thoughts will keep you chained to the same patterns, the same mistakes, the same limits. But when you take control of that inner world, there are no limits left. You become unstoppable. This is your invitation to freedom. Start today. Guard your thoughts. Speak to yourself with power. And remember, no matter what's happening outside of you, the real battle is always inside. Win there first, and everything else will follow. Chapter 4. Destroy weak habits that keep you average. Your habits are either building your future or quietly destroying it. There is no middle ground. Every single day, the small things you do or fail to do are shaping who you become. Most people underestimate this truth because habits seem so ordinary, so harmless. But here's the reality. Weak habits are like invisible chains. They wrap around you slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up and realize you're stuck living a life you never wanted. Think about it. Nobody sets out to be broke, unhealthy, or unfulfilled. These things don't happen overnight. They happen because of repeated choices, repeated patterns, repeated actions. A late night here, a skipped workout there, procrastinating just this once. It doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment. But when you repeat those choices day after day, they compound into mediocrity. Weak habits make you average, and average is exactly where the 95% stay trapped. The first step to breaking free is awareness. You can't change what you don't see. So take a hard, honest look at your life. Where are you settling? What patterns are holding you back? Be brutally truthful with yourself. Maybe it's scrolling on your phone instead of working on your goals. Maybe it's eating for comfort instead of fueling your body. Maybe it's hanging out with people who drain your energy instead of challenge you to grow. These habits might feel small, but over time, they dictate the quality of your entire life. Here's the harsh truth. Success doesn't require you to add more to your life, not at first. It requires you to subtract. You don't need 10 new hacks or a perfect morning routine before you start. You need to identify and destroy the weak habits that are quietly stealing your potential. It's like a garden. Before you plant new seeds, you have to pull out the weeds. If you don't, they'll choke out everything good you try to grow. Let's make this real. Imagine someone who says they want to get in shape. They buy new running shoes, download a fitness app, and watch motivational videos. But at the same time, they keep eating junk food every night and skipping workouts whenever they feel tired. It doesn't matter how much effort they add if they don't remove the bad habits holding them back. Growth only happens when you stop watering the weeds. Destroying weak habits isn't easy. Your brain craves comfort and routine. It resists change because change feels dangerous. That's why you can't rely on willpower alone. Willpower fades. What works is replacing weak habits with strong ones, step by step. For example, instead of saying, "I'm going to stop wasting time on my phone," decide, "I will replace 30 minutes of scrolling with 30 minutes of reading something that helps me grow." You're not just removing the bad, you're giving yourself something better to do instead. Here's another secret. Environment matters more than motivation. If you want to destroy a weak habit, make it harder to do. If you eat junk food late at night, don't keep it in the house. If you waste hours on social media, delete the apps or move them off your home screen. Don't fight temptation head-on. Remove it before it has a chance to win. And when you fail, because at some point you will, don't let guilt pull you back into old patterns. Failure isn't a reason to quit. It's a signal to adjust. Instead of saying, "I messed up, so I might as well give up," say, "I slipped, but I'm still moving forward." Progress is built on persistence, not perfection. Remember this, Your future isn't shaped by one dramatic choice. It's shaped by thousands of small repeated actions. Weak habits are silent killers because they don't destroy you all at once. They chip away at you slowly until you forget what you're capable of. But strong habits work the same way in reverse. When you choose discipline over comfort, growth over excuses, those small actions compound into massive success. The 95% are controlled by their habits without even realizing it. The top 5% are intentional about every single thing they do. They don't leave their growth to chance. They design it, step by step, habit by habit. So here's your challenge. Pick one weak habit today. Just one, and make a decision to destroy it. Replace it with something stronger. Build momentum. As you do, you'll notice a powerful shift. You'll stop living on autopilot and start living by design. Your habits are the quiet architects of your destiny. If you want to escape mediocrity, you must take control of them now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for someone else to push you. Start today, because every day you delay, those invisible chains grow tighter, and the longer you wait, the harder they are to break. Destroy your weak habits before they destroy you. That's how you rise above the 95%, one small powerful choice at a time. Chapter 5. Take extreme ownership of your life. There's a moment in life when you have to look in the mirror and face the truth. Where you are right now is the result of your choices. Not your parents, not your boss, not the government, not luck. You. That's a tough pill to swallow because it's so much easier to blame someone else. It feels good, even comforting, to point the finger and say, it's their fault. But here's the problem with blame. The moment you give responsibility away, you also give away your power to change. If you want to rise above the 95%, you have to take extreme ownership of your life. That means accepting full responsibility for everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Even when something isn't directly your fault, you still own your response to it. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you react and what you do next. Most people never take this step. They live as victims. They say things like, I can't succeed because my boss doesn't recognize my value, or I'd be in better shape if I had more free time, or my life would be different if I had been born into a wealthier family. Do those situations matter? Sure. But none of them define you unless you let them. There are people who started with less than you, faced bigger obstacles than you, and still built extraordinary lives. The difference isn't circumstance, it's ownership. Extreme ownership isn't about blaming yourself for everything. It's about empowering yourself to act. When you say, I am responsible, you stop waiting for someone else to fix things. You stop waiting for the perfect opportunity or the perfect moment. You start asking, what can I do right now to move forward? That question alone can change the entire trajectory of your life. Imagine two people who lose their jobs on the same day. One blames the company, the economy, their bad luck. They sit at home, complaining, waiting for something to change. The other person feels the frustration but then says, okay, what's my next move? How can I learn from this and grow stronger? A year later, one person is still stuck, while the other has built a new career or started a business. The event was the same. The difference was ownership. Taking extreme ownership requires honesty. You have to be willing to admit when you've made mistakes, or when your habits aren't serving you. That's not weakness, that's strength. Weak people hide from the truth. Strong people face it head-on because they know they can only change what they're willing to confront. Here's a practical way to start. Whenever something goes wrong, instead of asking, who's to blame, ask, what could I have done differently? This shifts your focus from blame to growth. Maybe you couldn't prevent the entire situation, but there's always something you could have handled better. A decision, a preparation, a response. When you find that peace and own it, you become wiser and more capable. But be warned, when you start taking extreme ownership, some people won't like it. Why? Because it shines a light on their excuses. When they see you stepping up and taking control, they'll feel uncomfortable. They might even try to pull you back down. Don't let them. Remember, most people are addicted to blame. They've built their identity around being a victim. You can't save them by joining them. You can only lead by example. The beautiful thing about ownership is that it gives you freedom. When you fully accept that your life is in your hands, you stop waiting. You stop hoping that someone else will rescue you. You realize you are the solution you've been looking for all along. That realization is terrifying at first, but it's also incredibly liberating. From this point forward, make a decision. No more excuses. No more waiting for the right circumstances. No more blaming your past, your family, or the system. You are responsible for your life. You are responsible for your future. That might sound like a heavy burden, but it's actually a gift, because when you own it, you can change it. The 95% live their entire lives pointing fingers. The 5% take extreme ownership and rewrite their story. Which one will you be? The choice is yours, and the moment you choose ownership, everything in your life begins to shift. Not because the world suddenly changes, but because you do. Chapter 6. Turn pain and setbacks into power. Life will hit you. There's no avoiding it. No matter how carefully you plan, no matter how hard you work, there will be moments that shake you to your core. You'll face failures, heartbreaks, disappointments, and obstacles you never saw coming. The question isn't whether you'll experience pain. You will. The real question is this: what will you do with that pain? Most people let pain break them. They see setbacks as proof that they aren't good enough, smart enough, or lucky enough. They get knocked down once, and they stay down, telling themselves a story about why success just isn't meant for them. That's why so many people give up on their dreams. It's not because they lack potential. It's because they don't know how to turn pain into power. Here's the truth you need to hear. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a teacher. It's life's way of sharpening you, molding you, preparing you for the next level. The top 5% understand this. They don't run from pain. They face it head on and squeeze every lesson they can from it. While others are complaining about how unfair life is, the top performers are asking, what can I learn from this? How can I grow stronger because of this? Think about a muscle. How does it grow? By being challenged, stretched, and even torn a little. Without resistance, there is no strength. Your character works the same way. The very experiences you wish you could avoid are often the ones that shape you into someone capable of extraordinary things. But in the moment, it doesn't feel that way, does it? When you're in the middle of a setback, all you feel is frustration, anger, or sadness. That's normal. You're human. The key is not to stay stuck there. Feel the emotions, but don't let them define you. Pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, this is not the end of my story. This is just a chapter, and I get to decide how it's written. Every setback contains two seeds, one of defeat and one of growth. Which one takes root depends on where you focus your energy. If you dwell on what went wrong, you water the seed of defeat. But if you focus on what you can control, what you can do next, you water the seed of growth. That's how pain becomes power. Here's how you can start shifting your perspective. First, stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? When something painful happens, your mind will want to play the victim. It will want to rehash every detail, blame other people, or replay the past over and over. That keeps you stuck. The moment you shift to what now, you take your power back. You move from being a passive sufferer to an active creator of your future. Second, look for the hidden lesson. Every failure has a message inside it, but you have to be willing to dig for it. Maybe the setback revealed a weakness you need to work on. Maybe it redirected you to a path that's actually better for you in the long run. Sometimes the very thing you think is ruining your life is actually saving you from something worse. You may not see it right away, but with time and reflection, the lesson will become clear. Third, use your pain to fuel your drive. Some of the most successful people in history didn't succeed despite their pain. They succeeded because of it. They took their anger, heartbreak, or frustration and turned it into relentless energy to push forward. When life knocks you down, let it ignite a fire inside you. Say to yourself, I will rise because of this. I will make this count. Remember, you can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. Pain will either be the anchor that keeps you stuck, or the jet fuel that propels you forward. It's not about avoiding hard times. It's about deciding who you'll become because of them. The 95% see pain as punishment. They think life is unfair and stop trying. The 5% see pain as a test, an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. That mindset shift changes everything. So the next time you face a setback, and you will, pause and remind yourself, this is not the end. This is the moment you grow. This is the moment you transform pain into power. When you do that, no failure can stop you. In fact, every obstacle becomes part of the foundation for your success. And one day you'll look back at the very struggles you hated and say, that's what built me. Chapter 7. Build relentless discipline, not motivation. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they take action. They say things like, I'll start when I feel ready, or I just need to get motivated first. But here's the hard truth. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you wake up feeling inspired, ready to take on the world. Other days you feel tired, distracted or overwhelmed, and motivation is nowhere to be found. If you rely on motivation, you'll never be consistent, and without consistency, you'll never achieve anything meaningful. The top 5% understand something the rest of the world doesn't. Success isn't built on motivation. It's built on discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's showing up every day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when nobody is watching. That's why disciplined people always seem to succeed out of nowhere. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's the quiet, unglamorous grind of daily action. Think about it like this. Motivation is like a spark. It can get you started, but it burns out quickly. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps going, even through storms. If you want to escape mediocrity and rise into the top 5%, you need to stop chasing sparks and start building that steady flame. So how do you build discipline? First, start small. Most people fail because they try to change too much at once. They go from zero to extreme overnight. A strict diet, a demanding workout plan, a rigid schedule, and within a week, they're burned out and back to their old habits. Discipline grows like a muscle. You don't start by lifting the heaviest weight. You start with something manageable and build strength over time. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's committing to just 10 minutes of focused work every day. The goal is to build momentum. Second, create systems instead of relying on willpower. Willpower is limited. The more decisions you have to make, the faster your willpower drains. That's why successful people don't leave their habits to chance. They design their environment to support them. If you want to eat healthy, don't keep junk food in the house. If you want to exercise in the morning, Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Make the good habits easy and the bad habits difficult. When you set up your environment this way, you don't need to constantly fight temptation, you remove it. Third, hold yourself accountable. It's easy to make promises to yourself and break them when no one is watching. That's why accountability is so powerful. You can track your progress in a journal, set deadlines, or share your goals with someone you trust. Accountability creates pressure, the good kind of pressure that pushes you to follow through even when you don't feel like it. And here's something most people don't realize. Discipline doesn't feel good in the moment. It's not fun to wake up early, say no to distractions, or push through discomfort. That's why the majority quit. But here's the secret. While discipline feels hard now, it creates freedom later. When you stick to your commitments, you build confidence, you trust yourself. And over time, the very actions that felt difficult become automatic. What once felt like sacrifice, now feels like strength. The 95% wait for the perfect mood before they act. The 5% act first, and their mood follows. They know that feelings are temporary, but habits are permanent. They don't sit around hoping to feel ready. They take action, even on the days they least want to, and that's what separates them from everyone else. Think about someone training for a marathon. On race day, everyone cheers and celebrates. It looks exciting, but the real work happened months before, in the quiet mornings when they got up, before dawn to run alone in the cold. Nobody saw that. Nobody applauded. That's discipline, doing the hard work behind the scenes, so that later the results speak for themselves. If you truly want to outsmart the 95%, stop asking yourself how motivated you feel. Instead ask, what needs to be done today? Then do it. Day after day, even if it's uncomfortable, even if nobody notices. Because one day, they will notice. They'll call you lucky, but you'll know the truth. You didn't get lucky, you got disciplined. Motivation is a spark, discipline is the fire. Build the fire, and you'll never have to wait for someone to light it for you again. Chapter 8. Stop wasting time like the 95%. Time is the one thing you can never get back. You can lose money and earn it again. You can rebuild relationships, restart careers, even reinvent yourself entirely. But time, once it's gone forever. And here's the scary truth. Most people live like they have an endless supply of it. They act like tomorrow is guaranteed, like they'll get serious someday, like there's always plenty of time to do the things they've been putting off. That's why the 95% stay stuck, because they treat time as if it's cheap when it's actually the most valuable thing they own. If you really want to rise above mediocrity, you need to become ruthless with your time. You need to treat every hour like it's gold, because in reality it is. The difference between the top 5% and everyone else isn't just what they do, it's how they spend their hours. The average person fills their day with distractions, busy work and activities that feel urgent, but don't actually move them forward. The top performers, on the other hand, are intentional. They make every minute count. Here's a hard truth you need to hear. You are either designing your day, or someone else is designing it for you. If you don't take control of your schedule, other people's priorities will run your life. The emails, the notifications, the favors, the endless scrolling, they will eat up your hours until there's nothing left for what truly matters. Most people don't even realize this is happening, because they're so used to it. They mistake busyness for progress. But being busy doesn't mean you're moving forward. It often just means you're spinning in place. Think about your own day. How much of it is spent on things that truly matter to your goals and vision? Be honest. How much time disappears into social media, mindless entertainment, gossip, or tasks you don't even care about? It's not that these things are bad in small doses, but when they dominate your time, they quietly steal your future. Success doesn't come from one big action. It comes from thousands of small purposeful actions stacked over time. If you let distractions win, those purposeful actions never happen. One of the most powerful skills you can develop is learning to say no. The 95% say yes to everything because they don't want to disappoint anyone. They fear conflict, so they end up overcommitted and overwhelmed. The 5% understand that every yes is also a no to something else. When you say yes to pointless meetings or toxic relationships, you are saying no to your own dreams. Guard your time fiercely, because nobody else will. Here's a strategy that can change everything before you start your day. Identify the 1 or 2 actions that will have the biggest impact on your goals. Not 10 things, not 20, just the top 1 or 2. Then do those first before you let the noise of the world distract you. This practice alone can transform your productivity, because it forces you to focus on what truly matters, rather than getting lost in endless tasks that feel urgent but aren't important. Another key step is to track your time. For 1 week, write down how you spend every hour. It might feel tedious, but it will open your eyes. Most people think they don't have enough time, but what they really have is too much wasted time. You'll be shocked at how many hours slip away to things that don't matter. Once you see the truth, you can start making changes. Here's the beautiful thing: you don't need more hours in the day. You just need to use the ones you have more wisely. Think about the most successful people in the world. They have the exact same 24 hours as you. The difference is how they invest those hours. While the 95% are binge-watching shows, mindlessly scrolling, or endlessly planning without taking action, the top 5% are working on their vision, building skills, and moving one step closer to their goals. Every day you waste is a day you can never get back. That should light a fire under you, not to stress you out, but to wake you up. Life is short, and if you don't prioritize what matters, you'll reach the end filled with regret, wondering where all the time went. Don't let that happen to you. From this moment on, treat your time like the precious resource it is. Cut out the noise. Eliminate distractions. Focus on the few things that truly move you forward, because while the 95% are letting their days slip through their fingers, you'll be building a life you're proud of, hour by hour, day by day, and that's how you create real success. Chapter 9. Surround yourself with winners. Cut the rest. You can have the clearest vision, the strongest mindset, and the boldest goals. But if you spend your time around the wrong people, you'll never reach your full potential. The people you surround yourself with are like a mirror, reflecting who you are and who you're becoming. Whether you realize it or not, they shape your thoughts, your habits, and your standards. If you hang around people who settle for average, you'll slowly start to accept average as normal. But if you surround yourself with winners, people who challenge you, inspire you, and hold you to a higher standard, you'll rise to meet them. Here's the hard truth. Most people don't want to admit your environment is either lifting you up or pulling you down. There's no neutral ground. The 95% spend their lives surrounded by complainers, doubters, and energy drainers. These are the people who always have an excuse, always see the negative side of everything, and secretly hope you'll fail because it makes them feel better about staying stuck. If you stay in that environment, their mindset becomes your mindset. Slowly, without even realizing it, you start thinking like them, talking like them, and living like them. But the top 5% do something different. They intentionally choose their circle. They understand that proximity is power. When you spend time with people who are striving for greatness, you absorb their energy. You see what's possible. You start thinking bigger, taking more action, and refusing to settle. Their presence becomes fuel for your growth. Ask yourself right now, Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Do they push you to be better, or do they keep you comfortable where you are? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, that's a sign you need to make a change. It doesn't mean you cut people out with anger or drama. It simply means you create distance from those who drain you and move closer to those who inspire you. One of the biggest traps that keep people stuck is loyalty to the wrong crowd. Maybe you've been friends with someone for years, but all they do is gossip, complain, or discourage you when you share your dreams. You feel guilty pulling away because of history, but here's something to remember. Staying loyal to someone who's holding you back isn't kindness. It's self-sabotage. You can love people from a distance. You can care about them without letting them shape your future. Surrounding yourself with winners doesn't mean only hanging out with millionaires or celebrities. It means choosing people with strong character, a growth mindset, and ambition. These are people who take responsibility for their lives, who don't make excuses, and who inspire you to aim higher, simply by the way they live. They don't have to be perfect, nobody is, but they should make you want to level up every time you're around them. And here's the beautiful thing, when you raise your standards for who you spend time with, you raise your standards for yourself. You start thinking, if they can do it, so can I. You start realizing you're capable of more than you thought. It's almost like osmosis. Their energy becomes your energy. That's why finding the right circle is one of the fastest ways to grow. But let me warn you, when you begin making these changes, not everyone will be happy about it. Some people will feel threatened by your growth. They'll try to pull you back with comments like, "You've changed," or "You think you're better than us now." Understand this, their reaction isn't really about you. It's about their fear of being left behind. Don't let their insecurities derail your progress. The top 5% push forward anyway, knowing that the people meant to be in their lives will grow alongside them. If you don't currently have the kind of circle you want, don't get discouraged. Start by becoming the kind of person you'd want to be around. Be disciplined, positive, and committed to growth. As you do, you'll naturally attract others who share those values. Join communities, attend events, read books, listen to podcasts, surround yourself with winners, even if you can't meet them in person right away. Over time, those relationships will begin to form. Remember this, your environment is stronger than your willpower. No matter how determined you are, if you stay in a toxic environment, you'll eventually sink to its level. But if you put yourself in a room full of winners, you'll rise whether you feel ready or not. The 95% let anyone and everyone into their lives. The 5% guard their circle like their future depends on it, because it does. So take a hard look at who's around you. Choose wisely, because the people walking beside you today will either lead you to mediocrity or to greatness. And that decision is yours to make. Chapter 10. Build skills that make you untouchable. In today's world, talent alone isn't enough. Desire alone isn't enough. Even hard work by itself isn't enough. If you want to rise into the top 5% and stay there, you need something that most people never focus on: rare and valuable skills. Skills are what make you stand out in a crowded world. They're what give you leverage, freedom, and power. Without them, you'll always be replaceable, always at the mercy of someone else's decisions. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The 95% rely on basic skills that anyone can do. They get jobs that anyone could be trained for in a week. And because anyone can do it, they're constantly competing, constantly struggling, constantly hoping someone will notice them. But hope isn't a strategy. If you want to become untouchable, you need to develop skills that few people have, and many people need. When you have those, opportunities come to you. You don't have to beg for them. Think about the people at the top of any field, whether it's business, sports, art, or leadership, they all share one thing in common: mastery. They've spent years sharpening their abilities to a point where they're irreplaceable. Even if they lose everything tomorrow, they can rebuild, because no one can take their skills away. That's the beauty of investing in yourself. Money can be stolen, jobs can disappear, markets can crash, but the skills you've built, those stay with you for life. So where do you start? First, get clear on what the world values. Not all skills are created equal. Some are nice to have, while others are game changers. Look for skills that solve big problems, skills that bring results people are willing to pay for. In today's world, these might include communication, leadership, sales, digital marketing, coding, design, negotiation, public speaking, or financial literacy. But don't just think in terms of trends. Think about what fits your natural strengths and interests, because passion fuels persistence. Second, commit to deep practice. Most people dabble. They watch a few videos, read a book, and think they've learned something. But real mastery comes from deliberate practice, focused, consistent effort over time. That means setting aside time each day or week to train your skills, to push yourself just beyond your current limits. It's not glamorous, it's not always fun, but it's the only way to rise above the crowd. Third, learn how to stack skills. This is where things get exciting. One skill might make you good, but 2 or 3 combined can make you unstoppable. For example, being a good speaker is valuable. Being a good speaker who also understands marketing and leadership, that's rare. That combination makes you a leader people want to follow, and a force people can't ignore. Think about what skills complement each other, and work to build a unique mix that sets you apart. Here's something most people miss while you're building technical skills. Don't forget soft skills. Emotional intelligence, problem solving, adaptability, and resilience are just as critical as the tangible things you can list on a resume. These skills often determine how far you'll go, especially when challenges come. Many people lose opportunities not because they lacked talent, but because they couldn't work well with others or handle pressure. Developing valuable skills requires patience. At first you won't see results. You'll feel clumsy and frustrated. That's normal. The key is to keep going. Remember, every master was once a beginner. The only difference between you and the people you admire is time invested. If you're willing to stay consistent while others quit, you'll eventually reach a level most people never touch. As you grow, don't just focus on learning, focus on applying. Knowledge without action is useless. If you read about negotiation, go out and negotiate something. If you study public speaking, get in front of a crowd, even if it's just 5 people. Real growth happens in the arena, not the classroom. The top 5% treat skill building like an ongoing mission. They never say, "I've arrived." They keep learning, keep adapting, keep sharpening their edge. That's why they stay ahead, while everyone else falls behind. Meanwhile, the 95% stop learning the moment they graduate or get comfortable. They cling to old ways in a world that's constantly evolving, and then wonder why they're stuck. Ask yourself, what skills am I actively building right now? If the answer is none, it's time to change that. The world rewards those who can create value. When you have rare and valuable skills, you don't just survive, you thrive. You become untouchable, not because life gets easier, but because you've built the ability to handle anything it throws at you. So commit to becoming a lifelong learner. Pick one skill and start today. Read, practice, fail, adjust, repeat. Over time, you'll look back and realize you've built something priceless, a foundation that can't be shaken. And while the 95% keep hoping for luck, you'll have something far better. The power to create your own future. Chapter 11. Play the long game while others quit early. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Everyone wants results right now. Quick money, instant success, overnight fame. That's why so many people jump from one thing to the next, never sticking with anything long enough to see it grow. They start a new project, and the moment it gets difficult or progress slows, they quit. Then they chase the next shiny thing, only to repeat the same cycle. This is how the 95% live, constantly starting, constantly stopping, constantly frustrated. But here's the truth. Real success takes time. The top 5% understand this. They play the long game. They know that anything worth building, whether it's a business, a career, a relationship, or personal growth, requires patience and persistence. They're willing to stay committed, long after everyone else has given up. That's why they win in the end. Not because they're smarter or luckier, but because they keep showing up while others disappear. Think of success like planting a tree. At first you put the seed in the ground, and nothing happens. Days, weeks, even months go by, and there's no sign of growth. Most people get impatient and walk away, assuming it's not working. But what they can't see is that beneath the surface, roots are forming, a strong foundation is being built. Then one day, the tree bursts through the soil. From the outside, it looks like sudden growth, but in reality, it was the hidden work happening all along. Your journey works the same way. When you commit to the long game, you stop obsessing over immediate results. You focus on the process, the daily actions, the small wins that compound over time. This is difficult because our culture celebrates instant gratification. Social media makes it seem like everyone else is achieving overnight success, but that's an illusion. What you don't see are the years of preparation, failure, and persistence behind those overnight victories. Playing the long game requires a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, "How fast can I get there?" start asking, "How far can I go if I don't quit?" This mindset gives you staying power. It keeps you focused when progress feels slow, when setbacks happen, when you feel tired and tempted to give up. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people start learning a skill, let's say public speaking. The first person practices for a few weeks, but doesn't see dramatic improvement, so they quit. The second person keeps practicing for months, even when it feels awkward and uncomfortable. A year later, the first person is still stuck at the beginning, while the second has transformed into a confident, skilled speaker. The difference wasn't talent, it was persistence. The one who played the long game reaped the rewards. The biggest obstacle you'll face when committing to the long game is impatience. Your mind will try to convince you that if you don't see results right away, you're wasting your time. That's when most people quit, right before their breakthrough. You have to train yourself to trust the process, even when you can't see the full picture. Progress is happening, even if it's invisible right now. Another key part of playing the long game is setting realistic expectations. Understand that there will be seasons of hard work where it feels like nothing is happening. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. That's normal. Those challenges aren't a sign to quit. They're part of the process of growth. Each obstacle you overcome strengthens your foundation and prepares you for the next level. And here's something powerful. When you commit to the long game, you automatically separate yourself from the crowd. Most people quit early. They get discouraged and walk away. By simply staying in the game, you rise above the 95%. Over time, your consistency becomes unstoppable. What once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable because you've built momentum. Remember, success isn't about doing extraordinary things once in a while. It's about doing ordinary things consistently over a long period of time. Daily actions may seem small, but they compound into extraordinary results. The book you write one page at a time. The fitness transformation built one workout at a time. The wealth accumulated one smart decision at a time. The top 5% know that quitting is easy, but staying the course is where greatness is born. So be patient. Trust the process. Focus on building something that lasts instead of chasing quick wins that fade. When you play the long game, time becomes your ally, instead of your enemy. One day, people will look at your life and call you an overnight success. They won't see the years of quiet persistence, the countless moments when you kept going while no one was watching. But you'll know the truth. You didn't get lucky. You stayed in the game while everyone else quit. And that is what makes you unstoppable. Chapter 12. Protect your energy, like it's gold. Your energy is your most valuable currency. It's even more valuable than money, because no matter how much money you have, without energy, you can't use it to create, build, or enjoy life. The sad reality is that most people treat their energy like it's unlimited. They give it away freely, waste it on meaningless things, and wonder why they feel exhausted, uninspired, and stuck. The 95% don't lose simply because they lack talent or opportunity. They lose because they drain their energy on the wrong people, the wrong habits, and the wrong priorities. Imagine starting each day with a full battery, like your phone. Every decision you make, every conversation you have, every task you take on, it all either charges you or drains you. The problem is, most people don't pay attention to this. They spend hours on things that drain their battery completely, then try to push through life running on empty. That's why they burn out, give up on their goals, and settle for less. If you want to rise into the top 5%, you must protect your energy, like it's gold, because it is. The first step is to identify the biggest energy leaks in your life. These are the things that drain you the most, often without you even realizing it. It could be negative people who constantly complain or criticize. It could be toxic environments that make you feel small and uninspired. It could be habits like mindless scrolling, staying up too late, or eating foods that leave you sluggish and unfocused. Take an honest inventory. If something consistently leaves you feeling worse, it's an energy thief, and it has to go. One of the most dangerous energy drains is people. You've probably heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not just about habits or income, it's about energy. If you surround yourself with people who are always negative, always doubting, always complaining, you'll start carrying their energy like a heavy backpack. On the other hand, if you spend time with people who are positive, driven, and focused, you'll feel lifted, motivated, and unstoppable. Protecting your energy often means creating boundaries, saying no more often, limiting access to those who drain you, and intentionally seeking out people who fuel your growth. Another powerful way to protect your energy is to take care of your body. This might sound simple, but it's deeply connected. When you don't sleep well, when you live on junk food, when you never move your body, you're operating at a fraction of your potential. The top 5% understand that their body is their engine. They prioritize rest, movement, and proper fuel, not just for health, but because it directly impacts their focus, creativity, and resilience. Every extra hour of sleep, every healthy meal, every workout isn't just physical. It's an investment in your mental and emotional energy too. You must also guard your mental space. In today's world, there's a constant flood of information trying to grab your attention. News, notifications, endless social media feeds. If you're not careful, your mind becomes cluttered and exhausted. Start being intentional about what you allow in. Limit how much time you spend on activities that fill your head with negativity or comparison. Replace them with things that inspire and educate you. A clear, focused mind produces far more energy than a scattered, overwhelmed one. Here's something most people don't realize. Saying yes to everything is one of the fastest ways to destroy your energy. Every time you say yes to someone else's request, you are saying no to something of your own. The 95% say yes because they don't want to disappoint others. The 5% say no because they don't want to disappoint themselves. This doesn't mean you become selfish or cold. It means you recognize that your time and energy are precious, and you spend them wisely. Finally, make time to recharge. High performers don't just work hard, they rest deliberately. That doesn't mean lying on the couch all day or binge watching shows. It means doing things that genuinely refill your energy. Meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, deep conversations, or simply sitting in silence. When you build consistent renewal into your life, you operate from overflow instead of running on fumes. Protecting your energy isn't just about feeling good, it's about staying in the game long enough to win. You can have the best strategy, the boldest vision, and the strongest habits, but if you're constantly drained, you won't have the strength to follow through. The 95% burn out and quit because they never learn this lesson. The 5% thrive because they treat their energy like a sacred resource. So starting today, pay attention to where your energy goes. Cut out what drains you. Invest deeply in what fuels you. Protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And when you do, you'll have the clarity, focus, and strength to build a life that's truly extraordinary. Chapter 13. Silence your ego and keep learning. One of the biggest threats to your growth isn't failure, it's success. Failure hurts, yes, but it teaches you, it humbles you, it forces you to look at yourself and ask, what can I do better? Success, on the other hand, can blind you. It can convince you that you've arrived, that you've got it all figured out. That's when ego sneaks in, and ego is the silent killer of progress. Your ego wants to protect you, but in doing so, it traps you. It whispers, you already know enough. You don't need to listen, you don't need to change. It craves recognition and validation. It wants to be right more than it wants to grow. And here's the problem. The moment you think you know it all is the moment you stop learning. And when you stop learning, you start declining. Look at the top 5% of achievers in any field. The most successful leaders, artists, athletes, and entrepreneurs are often the most humble. Why? Because they understand there's always another level. No matter how skilled they are, no matter how much they've accomplished, they approach life like students. They seek feedback. They read, study, and surround themselves with mentors who challenge them. That's why they stay on top, while others fade away. Contrast that with the 95%. The moment they experience a little success, a promotion, a small win, some praise, they stop growing. They get comfortable. They start believing they're smarter than everyone else. They ignore advice, dismiss criticism, and cling to outdated ways of doing things. Slowly, without realizing it, they fall behind. What once felt like progress turns into stagnation, and eventually, decline. If you want to build lasting success, you must silence your ego. This doesn't mean you tear yourself down, or ignore your accomplishments. It means you stay grounded. You recognize that no matter how far you've come, there's always more to learn, more to master, and more ways to grow. Humility isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the courage to admit you don't know everything, and the wisdom to seek out what you don't know. One powerful way to keep your ego in check is to constantly ask questions. Be curious. Instead of assuming you have the answer, explore new perspectives. Ask people you trust, what do you see that I don't? Where can I improve? This takes vulnerability, and it can sting to hear the truth. But every piece of honest feedback is a stepping stone to the next level of your success. Another key is to surround yourself with people who challenge you. Your ego loves to be the smartest person in the room. It feels good, but it's dangerous. If you're always the smartest one there, you're in the wrong room. Seek out those who are further ahead, who push you to think bigger and act bolder. Iron sharpens iron, You grow sharper by being around those who are sharper than you. Reading and learning are also powerful tools. Think about it. Books, podcasts, courses, they give you access to decades of experience from people who've walked paths you haven't yet traveled. The 95% stop learning when school ends. The 5% never stop. They treat every day as an opportunity to upgrade their knowledge and skills. They know the world is constantly changing, and if they don't keep learning, they'll quickly become irrelevant. Of course, ego doesn't like this. It wants to keep you comfortable. It resists growth, because growth requires admitting you don't have it all figured out. You'll hear voices in your head saying, "You don't need this. You already know enough." When that happens, remind yourself, growth and comfort cannot coexist. If you want to keep rising, you must choose growth, even when it's uncomfortable. Here's something powerful to remember. Your ego seeks validation, but your soul seeks evolution. The ego wants applause today. The soul wants fulfillment for a lifetime. Choose the path of evolution. Be willing to look foolish while learning something new. Be willing to ask for help. Be willing to admit when you're wrong. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of unstoppable strength. The 95% let their ego rule them, and it keeps them stuck in the past. The 5% rule their ego, and it keeps them open to the future. Which path will you choose? Stay humble, stay hungry. Keep learning like your life depends on it, because it does. The moment you think you've made it, is the moment you start losing it. But when you silence your ego, and stay committed to growth, there's no limit to how far you can go. Chapter 14. Execute daily. Small wins create big results. Big dreams are exciting. They fire you up. They make you feel alive. But here's the hard truth. Dreams alone won't change your life. Action will. And not just random bursts of action when you feel motivated. Consistent, deliberate action, day after day. That's how you build something real. That's how you escape mediocrity and join the top 5%. Most people fail, not because they lack ambition, but because they never translate their ambition into daily habits. They get caught up in talking about their goals, planning endlessly, and waiting for the perfect time to start. They convince themselves they need more information, more clarity, or more confidence before they take the first step. Meanwhile, days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Their dreams die slowly, not because of one big mistake, but because of constant hesitation. The top 5% live differently. They understand that success is built in small, steady increments. It's not about giant leaps. It's about stacking small wins until they create massive momentum. They execute daily, no matter how they feel, no matter how small the step seems, because they know one powerful truth. Small actions, repeated consistently, compound into extraordinary results. Think about a dripping faucet. One drop doesn't seem like much, but if it drips non-stop, day and night, eventually, it can fill a bucket, or even flood a room. Your daily actions work the same way. Writing a single page a day might seem insignificant, but in a year, you've written a full book. Saving a small amount each week may feel trivial, but over time, it builds wealth. Showing up to practice every day might not make you a champion overnight, but it turns you into someone who can't be ignored. The 95% underestimate these small actions. They're addicted to quick results. They want instant payoffs. When they don't see progress right away, they give up and say, "It's not working." But here's what they don't realize. The work you're doing today is like planting seeds. You won't see growth immediately, because the roots are forming underground. If you stay patient and keep showing up, those roots will eventually break through the surface. And when they do, the growth will seem sudden, but you'll know it wasn't. It was the result of consistent effort nobody saw. Daily execution also builds discipline. Each time you follow through on your commitment, you strengthen your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who gets things done, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. That identity becomes a powerful force. Suddenly, it's no longer about forcing yourself to act. It's about living in alignment with who you've become. The key is to focus on what you can control today. Stop obsessing over the final outcome. Stop worrying about how far you still have to go. Just ask yourself, what's one step I can take right now? Then do it. One step may not seem like much, but it's everything. Because when you take one step, it leads to another, and another. Before you know it, you've built unstoppable momentum. To make this practical, create a simple system. Each day, identify your top 3 priorities, the actions that will move you closer to your goals. Then tackle them first. Don't let distractions, excuses, or other people's demands steal your focus. Protect this time, like your future depends on it, because it does. You don't need to do 100 things in a day. You just need to do the right things, consistently. And here's a secret most people overlook. Progress feels good. Every time you complete a task, no matter how small, you create a sense of accomplishment. That feeling fuels your motivation and makes it easier to keep going. Small wins create a cycle of success. The more you act, the more confidence you build. The more confidence you build, the bigger actions you take. Before long, you've created momentum so strong, it feels unstoppable. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up. Days when you're tired, frustrated, or discouraged. Those are the most important days of all, because when you act, despite your feelings, you send a message to yourself, I am committed, no matter what. Those are the moments that separate the top 5% from everyone else. The truth is, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. The 95% think success comes from one big breakthrough. The 5% know it comes from 1,000 small steps, taken one day at a time. So stop waiting, stop overthinking, start executing. Even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect. 1 year from now, you'll either look back and be proud of the seeds you planted daily, or you'll regret the days you let slip away. The choice is yours. Build your success, brick by brick, action by action, because small wins don't just create results, they create the person you're destined to become. Chapter 15. Build a legacy bigger than yourself. At some point in your journey, you'll realize that success isn't just about you. It's not just about the money you make, the goals you hit, or the recognition you receive. Those things are great, but they're temporary. The money can disappear, the praise fades. Even your achievements can be forgotten over time. What lasts is the impact you leave on others, the mark you make on the world. That's your legacy. And building a legacy is what separates the top 5% from everyone else. Most people live only for today. They focus on their own comfort, their own pleasure, their own survival. They work jobs they don't love, chase short-term wins, and spend their energy on things that don't matter 5 years from now, let alone 50. There's nothing wrong with enjoying life, but if that's all you ever do, your story ends when you do. The 95% settle for that. They leave nothing behind but memories that fade with time. But you have the opportunity to do something greater, to build something that continues to grow long after you're gone. Your legacy isn't about being famous or having your name in history books. It's about the lives you touch, the people you inspire, and the example you set. It's about knowing that because you lived, someone else dared to dream bigger, work harder, and believe in themselves. Building a legacy starts with a question: what do I want to be remembered for? It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind and forget to ask this. But when you pause and really think about it, everything becomes clearer. Maybe you want to be remembered as someone who lifted others up, someone who created opportunities, someone who stood for something meaningful. Whatever it is, let that vision guide your actions. When you know what kind of impact you want to have, you stop wasting time on meaningless pursuits. The key to creating a legacy is service. The more you focus on helping others, the more lasting your success becomes. Think about the people who've made the biggest difference in your life. Chances are, they weren't just chasing their own dreams, they were pouring into others. True greatness isn't measured by how much you take, but by how much you give. This doesn't mean you have to be a billionaire philanthropist or a world leader. It means showing up in your everyday life with the intention to add value, whether it's mentoring someone, sharing your knowledge, or simply setting an example of excellence. One powerful way to build a legacy is to teach. When you share what you've learned, you multiply your impact. Imagine this: you master a skill, then teach it to 5 people. Those 5 people go on to teach 5 more. Over time, your influence spreads far beyond what you could achieve alone. Knowledge is one of the most valuable gifts you can give, and unlike money or possessions, it can never be taken away. Another part of building a legacy is integrity. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel and how you lived your life. Your character speaks louder than your words. The top 5% live with integrity, even when nobody is watching. They keep their promises, treat others with respect, and hold themselves to a higher standard. This consistency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of any lasting legacy. You also need to think long-term. Building something bigger than yourself doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience, vision, and persistence. You may not see the full results in your lifetime, and that's okay. A true legacy isn't about instant gratification. It's about planting seeds today that will grow into forests for future generations. Just like a tree whose shade you may never sit under, your work can benefit people you may never meet. Here's the beautiful part: when you focus on creating a legacy, your own success naturally grows. When you serve others, you expand your influence. When you build with purpose, you attract opportunities. The irony is that by focusing less on yourself, you end up achieving more than you ever imagined. The 95% chase success directly and rarely find it. The 5% chase impact, and success becomes a byproduct. So ask yourself today, am I living just for me, or am I building something that will outlive me? You don't have to have all the answers right now. You just have to start. Start by making decisions with intention. Start by thinking beyond this week, this month, or even this year. Start by choosing actions that align with the person you want to be remembered as. One day, people will tell the story of your life. What will they say? Will they say you played it safe, stayed comfortable, and focused only on yourself? Or will they say you lived boldly, lifted others, and left the world better than you found it? That choice is in your hands today. Your legacy begins right now, not someday in the future, but in this very moment, with the decisions you make and the actions you take. Build something bigger than yourself. Live with purpose, lead with courage, and give with generosity. Because when your time here is done, the only thing that truly matters is the impact you've made, and that impact has the power to echo for generations to come. Conclusion. You've reached the end of this audiobook, but in many ways, this is only the beginning. You've spent these chapters uncovering what separates the top 5% from everyone else. The clarity, the discipline, the courage, and the relentless commitment to growth. Now the question is, what will you do with what you've learned? Because knowledge without action is just another form of wasted potential. The truth is simple, but powerful. Most people won't do the work. They'll nod along, agree with the ideas, maybe even feel inspired for a moment, but then they'll go right back to their old habits. That's why the 95% stay stuck. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack follow-through. They choose comfort over growth, excuses over responsibility, and distraction over focus. But you don't have to be one of them. You've been given the tools to rise above, to create a life that's intentional, powerful, and meaningful. It won't happen overnight, and it won't always be easy. There will be days when you feel tired, discouraged, or unsure. That's when you need to remember this. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you want to become. Even the smallest actions matter, because small actions, repeated consistently, are what transform an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. You've learned how to stop following the crowd and think for yourself. You've discovered how to build a bold vision and destroy the weak habits holding you back. You've seen why discipline matters more than fleeting motivation, and why protecting your time and energy is non-negotiable. You've understood the importance of playing the long game, surrounding yourself with winners, and stacking rare, valuable skills that make you untouchable. Most importantly, you've seen that true success isn't just about what you gain, it's about the legacy you leave behind. The top 5% don't have superhuman abilities. They simply make different choices, day after day, until those choices create a radically different life. You have that same power. Whether you rise or settle is entirely up to you. So here's your challenge. Take at least one principle from this audiobook and put it into action today. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait to feel ready. Start now. Because the difference between the life you're living and the life you want comes down to action. Consistent, focused, intentional action. One day, you'll look back on this moment as a turning point. You'll remember when you decided to stop drifting with the 95% and start building something extraordinary. And when others look at you with amazement, calling you lucky or blessed, you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It wasn't chance. It was a decision, and 1,000 daily choices that followed. The crowd will always be there, loud and restless, pulling you toward average, but you don't belong there. You've been called to something higher. So stand tall, take control, build a life that reflects your true potential and your deepest values. Your journey is yours to shape. Your legacy is yours to build. Rise above the noise, rise above the excuses, rise above the mediocrity, and show the world what it looks like to be part of the 5%. The time is now. Your life is waiting. Step forward and claim it.